Hey, how's it going everybody? Welcome back to the channel. We're back with another video, and in today's video we're going to be covering the latest game on a glorious racing series published by Xbox Game Studios, Forza Horizon 5. I really recommend that you don't lose this video, so you might fall in love with this masterpiece as well as so many others. So without further delay, let's get into this video, but before we do that, make sure you are subscribed to the channel. Cars. To some, they are just transport, a convenient alternative to highly flammable dirigibles or walking, says Top Gear's Jeremy Clarkson in Forza Motorsport 5's pensive intro. But in a monologue not dissimilar to the one he provided to open Forza 4, Clarkson goes on to describe why cars are far more than this. He describes how they represent both the glory of technology and the essence of freedom. He explains how they mark the moments by which we define decades, as on screen a set of keys is wedged into the palms of a grinding teenager. Cars are some of the most intoxicating, most beautiful things ever forged by mankind, he muses. Superficially speaking, Forza 5 is just looking to turn us on before we even turn a key. But once you're inside, it's instantly clear that Forza 5 is here to accelerate Forza's transition from a series that simply features cars to one that truly celebrates them. The cars here aren't just thumbnails in a scrolling menu. Everyone has a history and a reason to admire it. Forza 5 clearly wants to be the defining cocktail of global car culture, and it's a philosophy that extends from Claeson's slightly wistful opening montage to deep within the guts of career mode. Thanks to a well-chosen bunch of unprecedentedly lavish car models and the help of all three hosts of the UK's Top Gear, Forza 5 is a virtual love letter to every vehicle it contains. And while the overall track count teeters on the wrong side of thin and the lack of dynamic time or weather stings, it's one that's technically very hard to fault. Featuring just over 200 cars, Forza 5 is several hundred cars shy of Forza 4's eventual count of well over 600. The important thing is that every car that did scrape into Forza 5 for launch deserves to be here. Iconic classics from old-school European Grand Tourers to hulking US muscles and timeless Italian supercars to cult performance hatches and sedans. Cutting-edge current models from affordable modern rides to today's money-no-object hypercars. World-famous F1 GT and touring cars, and for the first time hardcore open-wheelers like the ludicrous Ariel Atom V8. It's all wheat and no chaff. The best place to dribble over them is in Forza Vista mode, where they look absolutely remarkable. You can't pop the hood on everything, but the level of attention paid to even the smallest of details can be downright astonishing. Explore every inch and you'll find the cars modeled down to manufacturer stickers on the inner exit doors. The detail really is something else. From the speckled surface of a steering wheel in an enduring 90s hatchback to the staggering crispness of the tiny labels accompanying the multitude of switches in a Le Mans prototype. Forza 4's Auto Vista mode already gave us an appetizer of this 2 years ago, so the novelty is suppressed slightly. But the fact that every car can be so closely inspected is exceedingly cool. On track, things are equally impressive. Supremely realistic lighting slides over bodywork, casting impeccable shadows. Brake lights glow more realistically than ever. Flecks of rubber collects on the paintwork. Cosmetic damage doesn't really handle massive accidents, but small scrapes and nudges are well translated to your car's panels. You'll even see specks of different colored paint from rubbing against opponent. It's not universally beautiful though. Small effects like tire smoke and the puffs of dust kicked up by cars putting a wheel off track don't amaze. And the rudimentary pit stop looks uncharacteristically shonky. The audio, however, is uniformly excellent, whether it's the chirping of tires under brakes or the throbbing of a helicopter overhead. And the engine notes, well, they're better than ever. Turn it up loud, that's an order. Unsurprisingly, the cars still handle as good as they look and sound. Better in fact. It'll certainly feel familiar enough to returning Forza fans, but there's more nuance to how the cars shift about on their newly modeled suspension and more bite to the way tires cling to the asphalt. The cars feel more distinct from each other than ever before too. The fineness required to thread a 600 horsepower 1.5 metric ton V8 supercar through the ashes across Mount Panorama is very different to the way you need to coax the truly insane rally bred Ford RS 200 around the famous Top Gear hammerhead. Of course, it always has been, but here it feels more credible than ever. The way Forza 5's cars communicate weight is tremendous. The Xbox One controller's haptic triggers give you feedback on when your wheels are slipping under the throttle and losing grip under braking, and I was surprised at how much this adds to the driving experience. It'll take you a while before you're able to try all the cars because there's been a change to the way we're allowed access to them. Forza 5's somewhat neutered free-play mode only lets you use your own garage cars or rent one for free from a small selection, and driver levels no longer come with a reward car at every promotion. It's a bit disappointing, although it does make you think harder about and become more attached to the cars you ultimately do buy. As always, cars can be upgraded, tuned and painted. The best tunes and designs will be curated and suggested to players, but you can still manually search other players' designs for the content you're looking for. I honestly can't say I was a massive fan of defacing my cars with the admittedly small selection of liveries available during the review period, but you don't have to apply a design. Thankfully, opponent designs can be switched off too, so if you prefer the traditional look over racing against a bunch of gaudy Hot Wheels also-rans, you're covered. The whole reason you'll be at the mercy of other racers' tastes in tribal vinyls, however, is because of Forza 5's seriously cool new driver AI. In single player, Forza 5 will pitch you against opponents which race according to the real-life driving behaviors of the Forza players they're based on. Racing is a lot more dynamic and unpredictable as a result. Some driver opponents take unconventional lines into corners, and many are happy to pound several cars wide into bends that regular computer AI would have tracked around in a polite convoy. You can tune the driver difficulty to be just right for your skill. You now just need to finish in the top 3 to earn goal completion, so if you can repress your need to outright win every single race, you'll be satisfyingly challenged every time you hit a track. As with turning off assists and refraining from the rewind feature, you earn extra XP for increasing the difficulty, so it's totally worth having it set where it's hard to win, but you're still able to progress. It's also worth mentioning that even when you aren't playing Forza 5, the AI based on your behavior is, so each time you log in, you'll collect credits based on your driver task performance. Forza 5's track selection is also down from Forza 4. But the ones that are here are largely very good. New additions like Bathurst and Spa are genuine highlights, and the absolute joy to be gleaned from bumping flat out into the chase at Bathurst or Eau Rouge at Spa cannot be understood. These highly technical world-class circuits are immensely fun to lap around. Importantly, they mostly look as remarkable as the cars. Detail increases the further off course you look, but up close the imperfections on the track surface really sing, and the trackside objects and painted walls really do look realistically weathered. Dynamic time of day is again absent from Forza 5, as is changing weather, two missions that are beginning to weigh heavily against the series. I will say the early morning sun in several of Forza 5's tracks probably looks good in screenshots, but feels a little overplayed here. I certainly got to a point where I was a bit tired of driving into a blindingly white orb and yearned to take on Mount Panorama at midday rather than 8 AM. There are just 14 track locations, so although most have more than one layout, the final track count is arguably on the wrong side of life. You'll generally find yourself hitting the same courses at least once in basically every race series. However, there is no shortage of stuff to do on the tracks we do have. The varied racing series will keep you busy for a long time, and all of them are introduced by one of the Top Gear lads, who personally explain the significance of the participating cars. The credibility and humor these voiceovers bring to Forza 5 really works, whether it's Richard Hammond beaming enthusiastically about classic US racing muscle, or James May mildly appalled at the inclusion of a Volkswagen Beetle. Then there's the rival's punctuality. Returning from Forza 4, which constantly rewards you with cash and XP for beating the player ahead of you and will again encourage many late nights of chasing one more ghost, the standalone Rivals mode features again too, with custom events hinged around certain tracks and cars. Of course, there's also robust multiplayer for when you want to race real people rather than Skynet versions of them. The racing is fairly typical, but it's also highly customizable. If, like me, you still miss the endurance races, here's where you can set them up. Forza 5 is gorgeous and smooth as butter, and its utterly enchanting handling makes it a joy to drive hard. But this game is more than just a rock-solid technical titan for the Xbox One. It's an essential destination for the automobile-obsessed. It may be lighter on girth than where we left off last generation, and still lacking much requested features like night racing and rain, but wrestling a car through some of the world's most legendary corners at the very limits of adhesion has never looked or felt this good on console. As a result, Forza 5 is a very hard game for a rev head like myself not to love. Thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you all enjoyed it. Don't forget to give the video a thumbs up and let us know your opinions on the Forza Horizon 5, this glorious game on a glorious racing series, in the comment section below.